Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining nice and early. I'm going to give it like literally another 30 seconds, and then I'm going to start our little intro presentation, and then we'll get right into the guest speaker. Oh, I'm curious too, while we're waiting a little bit, um, I'd really like to hear from you guys about, oh, now we're having a bunch of people join. I'd really like to hear from you guys how you heard about this webinar. So whether you heard it through Instagram, Facebook, our newsletter, something else, I'd love to hear from you guys to see like how are you getting the news about our webinars? Okay, so while people trickle in, I'm going to begin. So as the people who usually attend our webinars know, we start every webinar with a quick little intro. Um, so I'm just going to go through that. I'm going to present our guest speaker and then she'll be taking over. And then at the end of the webinar, we'll be doing a little Q&A. So if you have any questions, feel free to either put them in the chat or in the actual Q&A section in Teams, and then I'll read them out at the very end. You'll see like your mic and your camera won't be working. So make sure you write it. Don't raise your hand. Like we won't be doing it that way. So with that being said, I'm going to get started. So for everybody new here, we are the Regional Business Center, and today we're going to be speaking about business website basics for beginners. So just to get us started, um, just seeing if my screen is going to change with my presentation slides. Okay, I think I'm going to have to do this manually. Okay, there we go. Okay, so the Regional Business Center, what we do is that we're all about helping businesses and entrepreneurs start, grow, and succeed. And we do this in a lot of different ways, but notably, we do it in ways that are all free. So if you're somebody you started a business, you have a business, or you're just kind of in that idea process, come talk to us. We can help you out for free. We can help you online. We can help you out in person. We're really designed to fit your needs. So if you need help, like in general, you can book a one-on-one consultation. You can also get some business plan support. We can give you advice on market research and then even sit down with you and help you do your business registration, talk about licenses, and so much more. This is something that interests you. All you have to do is visit our website and you'll see on the very, very front page at the top, it says how to book an appointment. So if that's something that interests you, please go ahead and do that. Now, we have a few programs to really help businesses like start off on the right foot. So if you're somebody, you have time on your hands, you want to do some really like good training, meet people, get some mentors, have a look at our programs. We have three. So the first one is Starter Company Plus. This is for really anybody, whether you're starting, expanding, or even buying a new business. This is a really good part-time training program that will set you up for success with a grant of up to $5,000. So the program is closed right now, but there is an expression of interest on our website. So if you go on our website, you go look at our program, Starter Company Plus, again, right there, you'll see there's an expression of interest. So if this is a program that's interesting for you, you want to get access to $5,000, you want to get mentors and coaching, go fill out that expression of interest so that the next time we have a cohort, you'll be one of the first ones to know. So good news is that if you're a student, we do have a program that's available right now. Summer Company Plus, sorry, I always do this. Starter Summer Company Program is for any students aged 15 to 29. You have to be currently a student and then also be going back to school in the fall. Those students can receive up to $3,000 to start and manage their own business over the summer. It's from June to August, so it's not going to interfere with your schooling. It's a great way to get a jump start, and you get to be your own boss for the summer, which is just really, really fun. Like I said, applications are open right now, so go check it out on our website. It closes on April 30th, so you still have a good month and a half to apply, but it's always better to get it done now rather than later so that you don't forget and then miss the deadline. Finally, our last program is the Business Incubator Program. This one does not have funding attached, but the good news with that is that you don't have to be a citizen or permanent resident to apply. There's no funding, so it's really open to everybody. The only thing is that you need to have an innovative business idea. We have a bit of our own definition of innovative, so it really just means something that is new, at least to Sudbury. So even if it's a new business idea with an innovative twist that exists, maybe in the States or in BC or even in Toronto, still apply, still pitch it to us, because if we don't have it in Sudbury, you will probably be eligible for the program. So if you're starting up or you have a really good business idea, but you need that extra support, come talk to us. The really big thing with the Business Incubator Program is that you get mentorship. It's all about mentorship. The other ones, the other programs I spoke to, you get some mentorship, like don't get me wrong, but this program is really, that's the primary focus. So you get 6 months of mentorship. Our mentors are all people from Sudbury that have been entrepreneurs and owned businesses, for 25 plus years. We'll match you with somebody that can help you really develop your skills, somebody who understands the industry that you're going into, so that as you're working on your business, as you're encountering challenges, you have somebody that you can literally call up and talk to, somebody who knows how Sudbury works and knows how the industry works. Applications for this are open. You can apply until June 1st. So again, if you're interested, apply now. Don't wait. Don't miss that deadline. You might as well get it done now. Okay, and then we don't do any of this alone. We're not experts, we're experts in business, but we're not experts in like accounting and insurance and so on. So we work a lot with some of the collaborators that are even in town, such as Baker Tilly, NORCAT, CTV, and many more. So just want to give them a shout out. If you're ever looking, to get some help with something that we can't help with, these are the people we would recommend. Especially shout out to Baker Tilly. They're incredible bookkeepers. If you need help with bookkeeping, call them up right away. And then last little tidbit of news, some upcoming webinars and events. We have 3 really strong webinars coming up the next few weeks. So again, if you need some help, check these out. Next week, we're doing Building Business Longevity in Sudbury with a guest speaker. Our guest speaker is Tom Wilkinson from Reg Wilkinson's Menswear. If you don't know who they are a men's warehouse, basically, located in downtown Sudbury, and they've been open for over 75 years. Aside from the banks downtown, it's pretty well thought out that they are the longest lasting business in downtown Sudbury, at least. So he's going to come, he's going to tell us, how did he last 75 years? How are they going to continue to last another 75 years? And all the tricks and tips that came with developing a business that lasted for so many decades. After that, we have a core regional business presentation that's going to be hosted by myself. It's all about why market research matters. Market research is your demand. How many people are actually going to use your business? What are they looking for? How much are they willing to spend? What are their schedules like? Do you fit what they need? If you're not sure, come to that market research and I'll tell you all about how to get that data. And then lastly, on April 2nd, we have Crafting Strong grant proposals. I'm bringing in an old colleague from my nonprofit days. She only pretty much does grant writing. So if you need help and you're looking for some tips, come to that. She has so much experience. And we will also potentially, depending on timelines, be presenting a new guide to help you out with finding grants that suit your business. So stay tuned, sign up for these webinars right away, put that in your calendar, and really get to boosting your business knowledge. If the webinars are not for you, like maybe, there's a day here that there's a webinar you want to do, but you're not available, go to our YouTube page. We have over 30 webinars recorded. So if you can't attend a webinar while it's live, check out the YouTube page. That way you can still have all the information from a webinar, but you can do it on your own time. And then last but not least, I'm going to invite our wonderful guest speaker, Journey Parasito Karen. She is the president and managing partner at Barloom Inc., a wonderful marketing graphic design agency. Journey is really a storyteller at heart, a strategist by trade, and a marketer who leads with intention. With over 8 years of marketing experience, backed by a background in law and psychology, she understands people on a deeper level. Her guiding principle, strategic marketing that embodies real connection. Journey believes that good marketing should be accessible to all business owners, especially when it comes to building websites. She knows that a strategically and thoughtfully built website is your ticket to success. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to turn it over to Journey.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. Rafi, were you going to share the presentation or am I sharing that?
I can, what do you prefer? What would be easier for you?
I don't mind sharing it. I have it locked
Okay,
and loaded here.
perfect.
Give
Let's
me
do that.
1 second. Perfect. Here, sorry, give me 1 second here. There we go. Okay. And let me know. Screen. There we go. Can we see it?
Yes, you're all set.
Perfect. All right, so today we are going to be chatting about website basics for beginners. This is going to be a very basic overview. We could be sitting here talking about websites forever, but Rafi and I went through and kind of decided what was the most important for everyone to know. Rafi already introduced me. The only change is that I forgot to update my bio a little bit when I sent it over. So I now have over 9 years of marketing experience. So that's that. All right, so who is this presentation really for? This is for small business owners trying to navigate the complexities of starting your website. Websites can be very overwhelming. I've been there. I completely understand it. As a small business owner, especially when you're starting out, you want to make sure you're launching with intention, you're launching with strategy, and everything is aligned. And of course, your website is probably one of the bigger parts of that. So we want to make sure that you're launching in the way that is going to make you most successful down the road. All right, so this is a big question that clients still ask me to this day. Do I need a website? The short answer is yes, you do. Now, why is that? So everyone's on social media. Why am I putting the energy into building a website when, I've spent all this time curating my social media, building my Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, X, whatever it is, Pinterest, why do I need all of them? The answer to that is that your website is yours. Social media is rented space, whereas I want you to think about your website as owned space. When it comes to social media, the big business owners, those billionaires out there, are the ones who own Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, etc. So we actually have no control on what happens on social media. They can decide that they're no longer profiting from it and shut everything down tomorrow. Also, there are a lot of platforms like Meta that aren't very fond of customer support. So if you lose your page, what happens? There have been some unfortunate circumstances where local businesses have had to shut down because their social media was their main source of bringing in clients and income, and they've been hacked. Meta did not provide the correct support, and they were no longer seeing a flow of money. So essentially, your website is your backup plan to that. All right, let's go over what we're going to cover today. So we're going to discuss the website platforms and hosting. I have selected 3 platforms that I'd like to discuss today. There are so many options out there. So these are 3 of the most popular and also the easiest to navigate. We're going to look at what every website needs. So this includes, the pages, the kind of content that you should include, images, graphics, design, all of that fun stuff. Domains, where do you get a domain? Where do you even start with that? Simple SEO. SEO is search engine optimization, and that is your guide to being found online. When you're putting effort into building your website, you want to make sure that your website is credible. So we're also going to discuss how to position yourself so that way people do see you as a credible source before they even decide to book with you. And I put together a little homework assignment for you guys, just that way you could leave here with some tangible knowledge and activities to actually get you started, because this will be a lot of information. So I kind of break it down for you and kind of give you your next steps. And then after that, we'll have our little Q&A. All right, website platforms and hosting. So choosing a website platform really comes down to what you're looking to achieve from your business. So as I mentioned, we're going to cover 3 most common platforms. Those are Squarespace, Wix, and WordPress. We're going to get into what each platform is best for. Squarespace has a bad reputation with web developers, but I don't want that to scare you. Web developers just don't like it because you can do everything on your own. So it's a great cost-saving tool. There are several customizable templates, so you can choose basically your industry, what you want to show on your website, and how you want to present your brand. And it will give you templates and guide you through the website building process in a way that makes sense for the industry you're in and what you're trying to achieve with your website. There are, like I said, templates and pre-decided color options, but you can actually go in, as long as you have your brand guide and you know what your brand colors are, your fonts, all of that, you are able to change that. Some people are concerned that with Squarespace, they can't, but 100% you have that ability. Squarespace is also great if you have a storefront and sell products, because this works with Square, that little kind of debit machine that you see in places. So if you want to sell your products online as well, Squarespace is a great option for that. If you know me, you know that my current website is actually kind of the bane of my existence. So I'm actually looking to move everything over to Squarespace. We have so many updates and changes as a relatively new business ourselves. We've been in business for 2 years now, and things have changed a lot since we began. And I like the ability to just be able to go into Squarespace and move things around as you need them. And again, this is a great cost-effective option because you do not need a developer in order to build your website on Squarespace. All you need is some time and your knowledge of what you want to achieve. All right, Wix. So this one is a little bit of a step up from Squarespace, but it is still a templated option for you. There are a lot of customizable options as well in Wix, a little bit more than Squarespace, but it is still a great, great spot for beginners. Wix is the one that I personally don't have as much experience with, but I have a lot of friends who are in business who've built their websites themselves, and they actually swear by Wix. They love it so much. As I mentioned in the slide, it offers drag and drop editing. So the templates that you have are a little bit more customizable and that you can edit the bits and pieces as you see fit. All right, WordPress. So this is probably one of the most popular ones, I would argue. It's great for growth, blogging, and advanced customization. This is your most advanced option of the 3. WordPress gives you tons of room to grow and tons of room to change your layout and everything that you want to update. But for the best results, I do recommend working with a web developer for WordPress. It is built for web developers to use. So you can still build it yourself. It does offer those options, but you're not going to be as happy with the end result, in my opinion. This is where my current website is built. And again, it's easy for little changes to copywriting or images or all of that. But if you see any major changes coming to your industry or your business, I definitely recommend going with one of the other two options. But if you are anticipating things to be pretty stagnant, you don't envision any massive changes for about 5 years, and you have the budget to work with a web developer, then this is definitely an option for you. So all of this to say is you don't need a web developer in order to build a good website. A lot of people will choose that way, but you are still going to be, even if you work with a web developer, you are still going to be putting in that work. You're still going to be the one guiding how the website functions. You're going to be the one guiding the information that's on the website. So why not spend an extra few hours and do it yourself and save yourself a few $1,000s? And the benefit of building your website yourself is that you can set aside the time to do it. You're not running on anyone else's timeline or schedule. It's just up to you. My biggest recommendation when doing this, and we'll go through this a little bit later, is setting aside your information first. So you're going to want to focus before you think about design, before you think about colors, before you think about all of the exciting bits and pieces and the final result. You need to think about the information that's going to be going into your website first. And we're going to touch on that in a little bit. And hosting. So the beautiful thing about these platforms that we just reviewed is that you can actually host your website on them. They do not require you to have a third-party hosting. So for example, for my clients who want me to host their websites, I use a third-party platform called SiteGround. You do not have to pay an agency or any other platform to host your website. The hosting is included as part of your chosen package. One thing to be mindful of when working with WordPress, WordPress.com offers the free hosting as part of the package. I don't know if it's free, but it's part of the paid package. Whereas WordPress.org requires a third-party hosting platform like SiteGround. So just be mindful that if you choose WordPress, you're using .com to save on those additional hosting fees. All right. Now we're going to get into the good stuff, what every website needs. So when you're starting, I want you to think about these 5 essential pages to get started. My website, as you'll see on the right, has a few extra pieces to it. This is because for our industry, our portfolio is huge. We do have a team of employees who make everything run, and I think that they need to be featured on our website. And we have an FAQ page because, again, in our industry, there are so many questions that we get asked, and I'll share some other reasons for FAQ a little bit down the road as well. All right. So with your homepage, 99% of the time, this is going to be where clients see you first. You want to quickly answer these 3 main questions. What do you do? Who do you help? And what should visitors do next? Answering these 3 questions on your homepage will encourage them to continue navigating through your website. If you don't answer those questions, they likely won't see value in continuing on. You want to keep in mind as you're building your website the customer journey. The customer journey is the customer's experience from discovery to purchase. We want to make it as streamlined and as easy as possible for them to spend money with you. So answering those questions on the homepage will then encourage them to continue their research with your business. On the homepage, you'll have what's called your homepage headline. This is going to set the tone for your customer's experience. Now, when you're building a website, the templates will have something like "Welcome to our website" on as the headline already. You do not want that. You want to get rid of that. Your headline, for a strong one, should be very, very specific to what you do. Our headline is a little bit different from the example here. I opted for a more streamlined version. So our tagline is "Ignite Your Marketing." So for our headline, what we have is it starts with ignite your marketing, and then that last word flips out. So it switches from ignite your marketing to ignite your website, ignite your brand, ignite your design, whatever it is. So that tells people exactly right away what we can help them with when they're looking for a marketing agency. All right, your about page. So for me personally, this is the second place I'm going to go when I'm deciding whether I want to spend my money with a business. I want to know who I'm supporting. I want to know what they're all about, what their business is, and if I don't align with them, I'm not going to spend my money there. And I know I'm not the only one. So your about page is going to be focused solely on building trust. This can be just about your business. It could be, if you're a sole proprietor, it can be about yourself. It could be about your journey to the business. It could be about anything. I love the concept of sharing your why. Why are you here? That will help clients again trust you more than if you're just, we're here because of, some crazy, concept. They want to know that you have a direct and emotional connection to your industry. So on my about page, I have it kind of twofold. So I have who we are, because to me, it's important that people understand who we are as an agency and what our goals are, because that's how they're going to be interacting with us as a service provider for their business. However, an important part of Barloom and also our name is my history in marketing and my history as a young professional. So I do include that tidbit as well on my page, and people always comment on it. You'd be surprised how many people actually read your about page. So I definitely recommend being as personal as possible, but again, setting the tone for your business and how people can expect to interact with you. All right. So your services page. So this could be products or services. This is where people are going to go once they've, done their first bits of research. Okay, now I'm ready to spend money. What do they offer? Do they offer what I need? So you are going to go into as much detail as possible in the section of your website. My services page is super, super long. I only screenshotted a little part of it because we offer so many services. There is no such thing as too much information here. Now, it is entirely up to you. Some people choose to share their pricing online. If you are selling products, obviously you do need to have that pricing. Sometimes service-based industries like myself, we choose to keep our pricing private. And my reasoning for that is everything we offer is 100% customizable. So I don't want to share any pricing on the basis that what you see might not actually be what you pay. You might actually pay less. So just think about how people, again, interact with your brand and your industry. And you can even look at other websites within your industry and kind of see what the standard is and what people are doing. You also want to use this page, especially if you're in a service-based industry, to share, what problem it solves for your audience and the results that people can expect to see. Your contact page. We want to make it as easy as possible for people to contact you. You do not want people searching left, right, and center and unsure of how to make a purchase or how to initiate first contact. You want to have this form. I like the form because it just shares all of the information that I need from a client before they reach out. So that way I can properly prepare for our first meeting when that does happen. It kind of limits the back and forth in email. Now, if you are a product-based company, then you might not need the full contact form. An email and a phone number might be sufficient as long as it is abundantly clear where people can find you. So you might choose to have it just on the contact page, or you might choose to have that on the footer of every single page on your website. I also recommend having your social media very clearly listed on your website. People often will go from your website to social media to continue to do research because your website is going to be where all of the information lives. But your social media, you're going to see more of the day-to-day. They're going to see a little bit more of the human side of your business. And that's where they're going to go to really, really know what to expect from you and your company. Testimonials. So we call this social proof. So this is a way for other people to see past experiences that past clients have had with your business and decide, you know what, yes, I can trust them. If you're shopping anywhere on Amazon, Sephora, whatever it may be, chances are if you're buying a new product, you're going straight to the testimonials because you want to know what other people are saying. Now, if you're a brand new business and you don't have any official clients yet, you may have come from an industry where you're providing similar products or services. See if any past bosses or colleagues will write you a testimonial. If you do have a product, see if you'd be willing to give that product to someone for free to try in return for a testimonial. These are going to be huge and very, very crucial to your website and to your business's success. So I don't recommend launching without, say, a minimum of 3 testimonials. All right, domain names and credibility. So what's a domain name? It's going to be yourbusiness.com, .ca, whatever the case may be. You can buy one on any of the below listed sites. So the Squarespace, Wix, and WordPress, when you're building your website, you can actually do everything right in there. So as I mentioned, you can host there. You can also have a domain name there as well. If you've already purchased a domain name, you can easily transfer them over if you want to keep everything in one spot, or it is possible to keep your domain name separate from your website hosting. They do not need to exist together. So some of you, if you've already purchased a domain name, you may have done that through GoDaddy because that is one of the most popular ones. The domain names are very affordable. They cost maybe $20-ish a year, and they typically come with 1 to 2 free email addresses. I think we're going to get into that next. So a lot of companies, especially new businesses, will use email addresses like yourbusiness@gmail.com. That I do not recommend because that gmail.com looks unprofessional and it sets yourself up to be slightly less credible, even if that's not intentionally what people are thinking, that is the psychology behind it. So you do want to use an email address that is personalized to your business. So for example, my email address is my first name, journey@barloom.ca. This builds credibility before a client even reaches out to you. You can also choose whether you want your email to be .com, .ca, .org, whatever it is. I do recommend, especially if you are a product-based company, that you use .ca because that automatically initiates that you are from Canada. And again, right now people are very, very interested in supporting Canadian, and you want to make it abundantly clear that you are based in Canada. All right, so credibility. So credibility comes from a few different things. So like your email, like we just discussed, and also how your website actually looks. So right now, people are either loving or hating AI, but having real photos on your website does build credibility. Your photos, they can be shot. iPhones are great right now. You can take a photo from your iPhone, set up your own little photo shoot. You don't necessarily have to invest the money into a photographer if you don't have that budget. Your design should be simple and effective. You want to focus again on that customer journey and making it as easy as possible for them to navigate your website. You don't want anything too crazy that's visually overwhelming, and you want to make sure that they know exactly where they're going at all times. And this one goes without saying, no broken links. When someone is on your website, you want to be 100% certain that they know exactly where they're going. So you don't want them to click on something and then maybe it redirects them to the wrong page or it takes them to an error 404. Whatever it may be, you do not want them wasting time trying to figure out what is happening because they will give up and move on to the next. security. All right, so this is kind of a bit of a blurry photo, but it's the best example I could find. If your website is secure, it will have that HTTPS, which identifies it is a secure website. If it is not secure, it'll take you to another page that will give you kind of a warning and ask you if you still want to proceed. If this is a website that people have not visited before, they are going to back out. They're not going to want to proceed to an insecure website. This is because it could open up the potential to get viruses, get hacked, all those headaches that nobody wants to deal with. So ensure your website is secure. Going back to this really quick, certain platforms, including the ones we discussed, have SSL certificates built into them. So Squarespace, Wix, and WordPress all have those capabilities. So that is not something extra that you need to do. They should also be the ones notifying you if there is an issue. I know that Squarespace is really good with giving emails and updates about kind of what's happening in the back end of your website. So you're just going to want to keep an eye out on that. WordPress does offer additional plugins for your SSL certificate. Some of these plugins are paid and some of them are free, so just be mindful of that. But again, when you're launching your website, your basic SSL certificates will be there. Now into basic SEO. SEO is a big one. This is something that we can talk about pretty much forever. There is so much to do with it, but it stands for search engine optimization. So this is how you get the results you're looking for when you're searching on Google. So you're going to use clear keywords. So the keywords are industry or location specific. So like the examples I have on the screen. You're going to want to be absolutely very specific, especially now that Google has their AI feature. They're very, very particular with the keywords and how people search versus the results that they share. If you've ever searched for something and it's taken you to a page on a website rather than the actual homepage, that's because they're using correct keywords related to that search on that particular page. So when you're building out your website, I also want you to consider the words that you're using on every single page. Within your pages, if you have a lot of information to share, and even if you don't, you should have some headings and subheadings that also have keywords or key phrases. This, again, is going to help those search engine crawlers, they're called, search your website and see whether it has the information that is related to the search or not. The more specific you can be, the better. What you want to absolutely avoid is called keyword stuffing. So what that is when you have, say your keyword is marketing and I'm writing a paragraph and I go, but marketing, and it's like every second word. That's called keyword stuffing, and that's going to be flagged for spam. Your writing needs to be organic and it needs to read like a human wrote it, because otherwise, again, it's going to be flagged for spam. It's going to be pushed to the bottom of the results and nobody will be able to find you. Blogging. So just a small blog, 500 to 700 words, can boost your SEO. Again, you want to write everything very, very strategically. You do not want keyword stuffing. You don't want every second word to be your keyword, but you want to have very relevant topics, specific topics, and very relevant information in your blog that will help people find you. For one of my clients, actually, this was maybe a year or so ago, I wrote a blog for them. And that blog became one of the top results when searching for that particular topic on Google. Blogging is incredibly effective when done well. You're also going to want to apply those same rules as I just discussed on your website to your blog. So you're going to want to have headings and subheadings that have relevant keywords and key phrases so people will be able to find you. All right, what makes a strong website? So we have our formula here. So your strong website is going to consist of a clear message, a simple design, easy navigation, a call to action, basic SEO, and high quality photos. Again, we want to keep the customer journey in mind. We want to make sure that we're thinking like our end clients because they are our target audience. Keep in mind in all of your marketing efforts that chances are you are not your own target audience. So you need to step outside of your own personal biases and think as the client. Where are they going to go to find their answers? How are they going to interact with your website? Is the design simple? Is it accessible? Are the colors, do they work together or is it overwhelming to the eye? Because we also need to be sure that people of all abilities are able to engage with our website. All right, now where do I go from here? We have your little homework activity. So here are your next steps. You're going to take the information from today, think about your industry, your clients, the purpose of your website, and you're going to choose your website and hosting platform. So whether it's one of the three that we discussed today, or if there's something else that you find is more relevant to your business or something that you're a little bit more familiar with, choose, whatever works best for you. Once you've chosen that, you're going to secure your domain name and business email through that platform. Again, if you already have one through a third party like GoDaddy, that is totally, totally fine. Just make sure that with your domain, you also have that professional email address. Next, I want you to brainstorm the most important parts of your business. Think about what your clients need to know about you. What problems are you solving for them? Who are your clients and what are they searching for? And why would a client choose your business over a competitor? These questions are going to help you build a website that is not only easy to navigate, but provides people with the information they need to want to work with you. Now, when you use these answers, when you have these answers, you're going to use them to start templating out your website. So I don't want you to template your website in the actual platform. I want you to use Google Docs, for example, or Word, whatever it is. My clients know I love Google Docs because I love to use all those tabs. So, if you're familiar with Google Docs, you can have, your tab for homepage, your tab for about, and just kind of start building out the information that you want to have there. Once that's all done, then you can start thinking about the design. And then once you've done your homework, if you're looking for someone to review your work, you can absolutely book a follow-up with me. I am more than happy to give you feedback, whether it's on your SEO, if it's on your layout, if it's on the content. I am so happy to workshop that with you. The two easiest ways to get a hold of me are LinkedIn or email. And yeah, if you need help, please let me help you. I love this kind of stuff.
Thank you so much, Journey. That was perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, I'm going to bring up the Q&A. We have one question so far, and then I have a few backups on my own. So if anybody here has questions for Journey, put them in the chat, put them in the Q&A. I'll read them out and we'll get some answers. So our first question is, what do you think about creating a personal website, for example, using your own name as the domain, where you introduce yourself, showcase your achievements, and highlight your skills? So maybe like a portfolio website or for a freelancer.
Yeah, I think if you're a freelancer, absolutely you should have a website. I think if you're providing any kind of service, it does, again, going back to that credibility piece, it adds so much credibility and professionalism to your business, and it will really set you apart from the rest. So definitely, share the information about yourself, your projects, what kind of projects, if there's any that you're particularly looking for, if you're a designer, do you want to do brand design or do you want to do product design? Absolutely share all of that information.
Hey, perfect. Thank you. You can also look at, I believe a lot of designers have like a portfolio website. So if you're looking for examples as to how they do it, I would just look it up. There's some really beautiful ones out there. And what's nice is that they kind of work like a resume, right? So you might even have jobs where if you're going into marketing or into design, they might even ask you if you have a personal website to share it. I have a question about the domain. What do you do if your domain name is taken?
Ooh, that's a good one. So the fun thing about that is there might be a .com taken, but you may be able to take the .ca. For us, we intentionally went with Barloom Inc. because that's just kind of the name that we've run with. But if Barloom Inc. was taken, we could have just done Barloom or Barloom Marketing. As long as the domain name that you want is still, or end up choosing, sorry, is still relevant to your business. And if you can even sneak a keyword in there, bonus points.
I want to point out too that like something that's good to think about is how easy is it to spell? Like Barloom, you can really just sound it out and like you would figure it out. So think about that too, especially with like even just your business name of if you tell somebody, will they already have a pretty good guess as to like what your website would be called? Because that will make it a lot easier. Another one I want to chat about is website maintenance. So once you've created your website and you're at a really good spot, how often should you be kind of like checking in on how it's doing, seeing if there's mistakes or updates, or even just updating the information that's already there?
Okay, so this is gonna be a do as I say, not as I do situation. But I would say, like every quarter, I would do like a little refresh. You're already looking at your financials at that point. You're already kind of looking at other aspects of your business. So it'll be a really easy reminder to add on to your task list to look at your website and see, have there been changes in your service offerings? Have there been changes in your team? Have there been, is there an industry change? Have you blogged recently? It could be as easy as, oh no, I haven't put a blog out in months. Maybe I should see what people are asking or talking about and just put one out.
Yeah, and I also say, yeah, make sure like the flow to your pages, like, you can have the about us, have your team, and then you could have at the bottom, like, want to book an appointment, click here, and then brings you to their contact page, right? Just kind of makes the navigation really easy. Another thing is when your website is ready, like ask people to have a look at it. Like
Yeah.
sometimes, when we spend hours working on one thing, we stop seeing the mistakes. So like even right now, like we're currently testing like a new web page and I have an Excel sheet that's like put any bugs you see, any typos, any ways that we can make it better, like test it out properly so that when it is public, people are not finding typos and mistakes or, spots on the page that don't work. That kind of makes it look a little bit more amateur-y, I find. So, really set that bar high. So another question is once you kind of have your basics to your website, like, your standard pages, when do you think you should start adding more information to it?
I think definitely launch with the standard pages. Don't wait to launch until you have more information. But I kind of like to go off of what is the client feedback. There are people who are going to be, engaging with your website, real clients that maybe you haven't engaged with before, and they might have never engaged with your industry before. So they might give you feedback, say, hey, this is helpful. This might be helpful. So I don't think there's necessarily a set timeline, but I think just be receptive to the feedback that you're getting. And you'll also know if your website's working for you or not. You'll find that out pretty quickly. So, yeah.
When it comes to checking analytics, like how important would that be?
I think it's really good to know how much traffic is going to your website and where are they going and how are they navigating with your website. Because if they're navigating with your website differently than you had anticipated, you might then want to move the design around a little bit. Again, that goes back to the customer journey and making it as easy as possible for customers to engage with your website and to decide to make a purchase. Um, yeah, you might review those analytics, look at them, see how people, are engaging, and then make those changes.
Thank you so much. Okay, so a few more questions from our audience here. So, with accessibility requirements, privacy policy, and terms and conditions, where would we start without that kind of legal knowledge? And then also, what about payment mechanisms? What would you suggest about offering shipping on the website as it is so expensive now?
Okay, so the first part of that question, um, sorry, I was
I can
focus on the
repeat it.
second
Hold
part. I
on.
want to answer the first part first.
Okay.
So what was the first part?
With accessibility requirements,
Oh, okay.
privacy policy. Yeah.
Where to start? Okay.
Yeah.
So all that information is very, very easy to find on the internet with a quick Google search. Those requirements are built into Canadian law. And it's a very, very common search. So you'll be able to filter through them. And even without a background in law, they're set out in a way that's easy to understand. If you still don't understand and you're like, you know what, this is too much information, I'm overwhelmed, reach out to me. I'll help you with that.
Awesome. And then for the second part, what about payment mechanisms? What would you suggest about offering shipping on the website as it is so expensive now?
Okay. So I'm not necessarily quite as familiar with product-based websites. All of our clients are pretty much service-based or in-person products. In terms of payments, like I said, Square has everything set up there. You can hook it up directly to your bank account, I believe, and it makes everything very, very easy for the end user. In terms of shipping, I say I don't want to give you an answer right now because I don't know. But we could always chat about that later. If you have questions, I'll find the answers for you.
I do believe too that like if you go with one of our website hosting spots that we talked about, like Wix and Squarespace, I'm pretty sure if I remember right from my time working with those, is you can get like your standard package, and then if you want to add like a retail store, you might have to like get a different
Yeah,
package overall because they're
yeah,
going to add those services and it just adds more back end. So it's going to cost a little bit more, but then you have a storefront and they usually have a mechanism like a kind of a retail store where you can set up everything. But when it comes to shipping, then yeah, I would follow up.
yeah.
Um, Another question is, I heard to protect your brand name, you should purchase a few variants of your brand name domain. Is that recommended for someone just starting up a small business?
Some people do it. I didn't do it for mine. Realistically, when you have a brand name or a business name, what matters are two things. So one, you're going to want to register with the province as a business. And the second one that is going to be to give you the biggest protection is incorporating yourself. Incorporating yourself does cost, I think, like $2,000. So it is a little bit pricey, but that protects your name from anything. If you're only registered with the province and not incorporated, anybody can swoop in and take your name.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you want to be careful. It also depends like how common your business name is. Like Barloom is pretty unique. You have a lot less worries about somebody taking something like that. But if you have a domain name that's also just like mining supplier, that
Yeah.
might be, then you might want to have a little bit of a look at variance.
Yep. I have,
Um,
oh, sorry, I
mhm.
was just say I have one client who has four variations that
Yeah,
she's purchased, and it's totally a personal decision, and they're not that expensive. It's $20 a year. So
about to ask, yeah, like how much
yeah,
does it usually cost?
yeah.
Okay, so another question. We have been using a website services partner, but we are looking to start doing these services ourselves. I've played around with Squarespace and I would recommend to anyone who is looking for a beginner website service. My question is, with already owning a domain name, how hard is it to transfer it over from the former service provider to Squarespace?
So that's really easy. You absolutely can do that. You can in Squarespace, because I was playing around with it, like I mentioned, kind of for my own website. It gives you an option to transfer your domain name. So you just need the access to where it currently is, and then there's like it'll give you some steps to do it, but it's very easy. The only potential downfall might be that you're paying twice for the year. Because
Mm.
if you're not coming up on your registration fee or your due date for that, you might have to pay twice for it. But again, it's not that expensive. So if you want to switch everything over, just do it.
And that too, like just a little follow-up is also make sure that you keep renewing your domain because if your domain expires, like your website will be
It's gone.
closed.
Yeah.
Like it will, yeah, like it'll be gone. Sometimes if you go on a website and the domain's been gone, you'll get an error page or you'll be like, nobody owns this domain. Would you like to buy it? Sometimes you get those. So just like, stay up to date with those things. Your website is really your backbone to your business. It's the hub of all the information that a client would need, right? When they're on social media, they're getting little tidbits at a time. Maybe there's a new service or an update, or it's, just celebrating, like we just had International Women's Day. So there were a lot of posts about that. But when people want to dig in deeper, then they're going to go to your website. Your social media, I like to say it's a little bit the candy to the medicine of like you're there to entertain and be flashy and kind of get their attention. And then the medicine is the actual website. That's the actual core of everything. If there's any more questions, please add them now. We have another 5 minutes. Just thinking if I have any of my own questions. But we're getting a lot of thank yous. This has been really, really good, Journey. This is
Thank you.
when I was thinking about this webinar, this was exactly what I was looking for. Like just super, super beginner, not too technical. And I think this will really help people. I love the homework too.
Yay. I'm glad.
Yeah, no, it's building a website, like being an entrepreneur, especially when you're starting from the ground zero, is already really stressful. And I find like, at least in my experience working with clients, is when they get to the website, they've already done so much work, right? They have their business plan, their finances, they've been looking at grants, they've been looking at, their competition. And then it's kind of like you get to the website and you're so exhausted at that point. But really, that's where all that great work can come together. And then once you build it, it's just little updates, little maintenance after that, right? Like after that, it's easier. And that's where, like, if you just don't have the capacity, people like Journey with her company, that's what they can help you with. They can help you, get over that hump so that if you want to focus on other business practices, website building is not really your thing. There's people in town, in our community that understand us that can help out.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to give another 30 seconds for questions. Another message. Yes, thank you so much for the presentation. It was very informative. Took a lot of screenshots.
Yay.
I'm so glad.
Thank you.
After this presentation, I'm going to be sending you all 3 things. One of them is the presentation slides. So if you saw something on the presentation that maybe you didn't have a chance to take a screenshot, don't worry, I'm going to send it. I'm also going to send you guys a survey link. This just really helps us get some feedback about our webinars. We want to make sure we're bringing you guys the best, and this is how we'll find out if we're doing that or if we're missing the mark and, we need to brush up a little bit. And then the last thing is I'm also going to be putting this video up on YouTube. So if you want to have a look, you want to, maybe there's a spot that, you got called, you missed a piece of the presentation, or you want to share it with somebody who could really use the advice, there will be a YouTube link. It's public. Share it with everybody. Get that business knowledge, educate yourself, start your business off really, really strong, but take away some of that stress from trying to figure it out all on your own. Okay, so I think we're done. Oh, wait, I might have one more question. Okay, I do. Would you consider doing a social media basic version, like how to create about us, what to post? Okay, so I will tell you guys, I'm going to be doing a webinar, I believe it's in May or June, about basics for video editing. So it's not, specific to social media, but it is good for like, if you want to get into making TikToks or Reels, there will be one about that. I love the suggestion about doing a social media basic version just like this. I will definitely make a note of that, and maybe it's something we can do in the future.
Also, if you have questions right now about social media, like I don't charge for consults or anything, so call me up, we can have coffee, and I can chat with you too.
Oh, you're the best, Journey. Okay, if you want to follow up with Journey, I'll put her contact information in the email. And thank you for the recommendation. I'll put the links to the upcoming meetings. I usually will just send you guys our event calendar so that hopefully you see a few other events you might be interested in as well that we just didn't have time to showcase today. With that, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you again so much, Journey. It's so nice to have an expert come and present to us. And everybody else, just have a great day. Be careful with the roads. Don't get too cold. We're so close to spring. We're almost there. We'll stay strong and make it through. Thank you, everybody, and have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.